Here we go again, folks. Another round of tariffs, as if like this is a game show. What are we going to tariff next, Al? Well, it turns out Trump has made a declaration that he is set to announce 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports. Trump spoke to reporters abroad, Air Force One, as he flew on Sunday from Florida to attend the Super Bowl game in New Orleans. This is from Fox 61, I guess. President Donald Trump said he will announce on Monday that the United States will impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports, including from Canada and Mexico, as well as all other import duties later this week. In any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariffs, he told reporters Sunday on Air Force One as he flew from Florida to New Orleans to attend the Super Bowl. When asked about aluminum, he responded, aluminum too will be the subject to the trade penalties. Shares of U.S. steel companies rose sharply in future trading before the opening bell Monday. Cleveland Cliffs, which wants to buy Pittsburgh's U.S. Steel, jumped 8%. U.S. Steel rose 5%. Nucor, Nucor rose almost 8%, and Steel Dynamics rose more than 6%. Trump also reaffirmed that he would announce reciprocal tariffs probably Tuesday or Wednesday, meaning that the U.S. will impose import duties on products and cases in which other countries have levied duties on U.S. goods. If they are going to charge us 130%, we're charging them nothing. It's not going to stay that way, he told reporters. Trump's comments are the latest example of his willingness to threaten and, in some cases, impose import taxes. Tariffs are coming much easier in his presidency than during his previous 4 years in the White House. He prioritized tax cuts and deregulation. Trump, a Republican, has alternately said he sees import taxes as a tool to force concessions on issues such as immigration, but also as a source of revenue to help close the government's budget deficit. Financial markets fell on Friday after Trump first said he would impose the reciprocal tariffs. Stock prices also dropped after a measure of consumer sentiment declined on Friday, largely because many respondents cited tariffs as a growing worry. The survey also found that Americans are expecting inflation to trick up in the coming months because of the duties. But again, I just want to reiterate these tariffs are a very interesting experiment. Because Trump's claim to fame is that these tariffs are somehow going to decrease the inflation, going to decrease the need of imports and exports, and is going to pay for the services of the United States government. And at some point, he likes to use tariffs as a means as taxation and remove things like income taxes. But is that going to improve the cost of living? Is that going to improve inflation? Because that's what a lot of people were worried about with the 2024 election. That's why many people voted for Trump. That was one of his mandates, was he was supposed to bring down grocery prices. And it seems like that's off the table. It seems like more and more of these tariff talks, more and more of these trade wars with other countries and shaking fists and saying, we're not being taken abuse of, is not really helping the ordinary American that's struggling in this situation. Trump on Sunday did not offer any details about the steel and aluminum duties or the reciprocal tariffs. Trump previously threatened 25% import taxes on all goods from Canada and Mexico, though he paused them for 30 days barely a week ago. At the same time, proceeded to add 10% duties on imports from China. Yet on Friday, he said he would also delay the tariffs on the millions of small packages, often from fast fashion firms such as Temu or Shein, until customs officials can figure out ways to impose them. The small packages have previously been exempt from tariffs. So, all these tariffs, all this trade war, the crazy WWE Showdown WrestleMania clown show of this back and forth tariff war, trade war situation that is invoking everybody right now. We're being all thrown under the bus. And while Trump is waving his fist and saying, hey, we're going to retaliate, what is our administration doing here in Canada? Because they pretend to take it seriously. They're pretending, oh, we're going to take on Donald Trump head on. Well, where is Justin Trudeau? Where is the resigned prime minister, but still in action prime minister? Well, according to this is from Brian Lilly, who's a columnist for the Toronto Star, or sorry, the Toronto Sun. Says, meanwhile, Parliament is prologue. His party is in leadership race, and our neighbor is talking about taking us over. Thanks, Justin. Justin Trudeau is in Paris. So, while there's a 25% aluminum and steel tariff on our goods, while we have a 30-day countdown, a 30-day deadline that's fastly approaching, he's supposed to appoint a fentanyl czar. That hasn't happened yet. He is out of the country. He is nowhere to be found. He doesn't even want to bring Parliament back to the House of Commons. But no, he's going to go cozy it up with the rest of the G7 countries because he feels abused by Donald Trump. He's such a bully. And his tweet says, I'm in Paris meeting with industry leaders to discuss artificial intelligence and how we can work across borders to harness this technology effectively and responsibly. AI will shape our future, and we're securing Canada's place as a global leader. Right now, our country is suffering. And right now, our leadership, what little we have in leadership, is abandoned ship. Completely abandoned ship. They don't want to return back to the House of Commons. They don't want to actually resort to any measure to actually save this nation. But I'd rather go cozy it up to other world leaders. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. As more tariffs are being threatened onto the country of Canada. So, here is Justin Trudeau arriving in Paris as reporters are surrounding him, mobbing him, asking him, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be defending Canada? Aren't you worried about these tariffs? Do you think Canada's going to survive the wrath of Trump? And here, watch Justin Trudeau completely ignoring it. Completely ignoring it.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau. Avez-vous une réaction sur les nouveaux tarifs que M. Trump voudrait impliquer? M. Trudeau?
Is Canada a viable country?
They just heard the one lady there. Is Canada a viable country? Not even turning around. Not even turning around. Not even acknowledgement. And you can only blame incompetency so much, ladies and gentlemen. You can only blame incompetency to whatever line before you realize that this is intentional. That what Justin Trudeau here is, what he's doing here is intentional. This is not just a mistake. This is not just, his stupidity or his incompetency. This is intentional. He wants these tariffs. He wants country to implode. Remember, Justin Trudeau said in 2015 that Canada is a post-nationalist country. We don't have a nation. We don't need a nation. We just want to be part of this geopolitical charade brought to you by the billionaires, and we're just going to be like a bureau. The Bureau of Canada. Not a country. Not with its own citizens, its own economy, its own decision-making, its own citizens. We're just part of this globalist agenda. We're just part of the WEF's takeover of sovereignty. Which is what it's leading down to. Is the billionaire class wants to swoop up these countries, destroy its economics, destroy its sustainability, destroy its sovereignty and its citizens and its culture, so they could swoop in, gobble it up, and take it as their own. And then we just become prisoners of whatever domination is ruling that week. But this is supposedly a guy that's supposed to take this seriously. He's worried because Trump is threatening Canada. He's being a bully. says Christian Freeland. He's a bully. He needs to cut it out. Meanwhile, he's in Paris yucking up with other aristocrats and giving you the middle finger. Well, TikTok, Justin, because you still haven't elected a border czar. We're still in shambles. The border's still a mess. Nothing's been implemented yet. All you do is give vague generalizations, and you haven't done jack squat for the people of Canada. Not even the attempt to return to Parliament. Which, by the way, they're still getting paid. They're still getting paid for not returning to Parliament. How is that fair? How is that fair? So, Table Salt pointed this out. And it says Canada exploring interprovincial trade agreement. Excuse me. It's the absolute insanity that our trucks and food need inspection to sell interprovincially. Open it up, all of it. So, I couldn't even believe that this is a thing. I couldn't believe this is actually a thing, that we can't even, in our own provinces, that we can't even trade. That we can't trade off Alberta's oil to Ontario steel, or from the fisheries in Atlantic Canada to the water and minerals in BC. Like, why is interprovincial trade being neglected? And we're seeing all these provinces dogpiling each other when literally we could be working together in cooperation to build this country. It just makes absolutely no sense that we're dogpiling each other that is destroying the country and destroying Canada and the economic prosperity of this country when we can unite together. And that is what Daniel Smith suggested a couple of weeks ago when talking to Donald Trump, is that, hey, why don't we just connect our country, our provinces together and trade off our goods, use us and unite together so we could build up the prosperity of Canada. Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we doing that? And here is some of the projects of the oil and natural gas from Alberta that can help energize a lot of Canada. And instead, it's being neglected. It's being abused. They're canceling these pipelines to waste off our natural resources. That's killing the Alberta economy. That's killing the Canadian economy. And it's not being prosperous to this nation. When literally we could be using our own oil, our own gas, and building up our resources right here at home. And so this is a chart here. Canceled energy projects or investments from 2015 to 2020. And I'm not going to read all of this, but there's like $10 billion from the Grassy Point liquid natural gas to the $25 billion West Coast Canada Aurora LNG pipeline, $28 billion, $20.6 billion from Alberta, the pipelines in New Brunswick, so on and so forth. And again, at the start, I used to be, one of those people that were against the pipelines. I was against fossil fuels, but I still care for the environment. But the thing is, though, unfortunately, fossil fuels are not going to be deleted off the earth. We're not going to be done with fossil fuels. That's just the unvetable reality. And considering that we cut off these pipelines, but yet we're still using fossil fuels from other countries overseas, bring them on cargo ships, and then use trucks to transport them. Are we doing anything better for the environment going that direction than it would to just use our natural resources and transport them through tubing? Like, it seems like a shorter distance. You seem like you're losing, you be causing less emissions through that than you would be transporting from overseas. So that's the argument that I'm making, to say that I'd be willing to at least look into why we need to build pipelines. And again, it's not saying that I'm against the environment or anything. I'm dead set on supporting the environment. I'm supportive of nature. But considering the fact that we're never going to eliminate fossil fuels, that's just never going to be a reality. Why aren't we investing into infrastructure to make it better for here and just making more emissions, more cost, and more burden importing from overseas? This doesn't make sense to me. Anyway. But there you go. 25% aluminum and steel tariffs on top of all the other tariffs, on top of all the other threats. And our prime minister is a no-show. Our prime minister has jumped ship, let the Titanic sink, took all the lifeboats, and decided, hey, I'm going to go to Paris. I'm going to yucky it up under the City of Lights. Under your tax dollars. To talk about climate change, to talk about AI, to talk about being the global leader force. Yucking up with the other G7 nations as those nations are crumbling. Because they don't give a damn about supporting those people. Again, I see this as intentional. You can only blame incompetency so much. This is purposely done. Justin Trudeau knows what he's doing. He knows that his country's in shambles, and he's hoping these tariffs will continue on so he can pretend to battle it out and duke it out with Trump as some sort of political win. But it's really wrecking the entire prosperity and sovereignty of this nation that he's already destroyed for many years. This is brought to you by Ground News, the versatile news app and website that gathers all the world's media on one place and allows users to compare coverage. Ground News gives you the access of thousands of sources worldwide, allows you to see the media blind spots, and even gives analysis on the bias and factuality of those stories. Weave your way through the mainstream narratives, the corporate lies, and have total access to find complete information that you deserve. Click on the link below and get 15% off a subscription. Be critical, be informed, be ground.